Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's waffle box time.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It
Gets the people going.
You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
My crotch is itchy.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. Now don't call me Shirley.
What would you do if you had $1 million?
2 chicks at the same time, man.
Just thank the Lord she didn't live to see her son as a mermaid.
You killed a hooker!
Call girl!
No,
she was
Cyril, when they're dead, they're just hookers.
This time we are sure she's a woman, right?
Why do you want to listen to the TV with the stereo on?
Because I like to party.
Let's do this!
Ooh, welcome to Waffle Box, the podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing, all at the same time. Coming up on episode 23. Will Elon Musk solve world hunger? We celebrate the return of Judge Judy. Facebook jail being a real place in the UK. Of course, Kush's movie review and so much more. I am Mike Fish and I am joined by that man himself, as always, Mr. Kush Hayes. Kush, how you doing, buddy?
Mike Fish, what's good, y'all? It's Waffle Box. It's the best part of Wednesday. I'm happy to be here, fresh off the heels of working with Len Kabaczynski on Pact of Vengeance with Leo Fong. That everything's in the can. Now it's up to the editors and distributors and all that stuff. So, but yeah, Kush Hayes had a hand in making a movie. It's pretty exciting.
When's the movie come out?
Probably in the spring of next year.
Next year.
Now the fun part begins. All the editing.
What
did they get and what's different from the script and 100 other things I can't even fathom right now. But
what's the name of the movie?
Yeah. Pact of Vengeance. It's a Killer Wolf Films release, and Leo Fong, Petey Avalon, Diamante, both from AEW Wrestling, or I guess AEW, and then John Mickle Thor. I did not meet him, but heard nothing but great things. And then, of course, the man himself, Master Len Kabaczynski, co-host of the Kick-Ass Movie Podcast. It's his movie, his writing, his directing, and it's a great time, dude. It was a good opportunity. I was super happy to be a part of it.
Main part is, are you going to get credit on the scrolling bit at the end?
Yes.
Happy days. This is
it is happy days. Dude, as sexy as my resume is, as all the big events I've been to, all the events that I had to produce myself, I do not have an IMDb credit anywhere. Like, this is finally. I've been doing this shit since 2007.
Give the man credit. Literally.
Oh.
But other than that, how was LA, as they like to call it?
It was very warm. Traffic was spotty at times, as you may have heard. Otherwise, we were on the set of a hospital, and a spider or spiders bit the hell out of my legs. Otherwise, again, it was a great opportunity. It was a great experience. Looking forward to being a part of the next Killer Wolf Films project.
Is there going to be a sequel already?
This is Len Kabaczynski's like 17th or 18th. This guy gets shit done. This guy gets shit done. Happy to be a part of his team too.
Well, before we dive in, I need to say something.
Break it down, Mike.
I speak to the people of
your mind.
Beacon, New York. Sorry, I do apologize. So
testify.
Tonight, I am drinking Industrial Arts Brewery.
Oh, far out.
The beer named Metric. It's a very nice beer. I'm going to sip on it right now for audio listeners. Now, I'm going to give a shout out to them, Industrial Arts Brewing Company, POW. But I was going to give out a shout out to Hudson Valley Brewing Company. However, because they're lame, they don't allow dogs, even in their outside area. Now,
not even in the outside area.
Not even in the outside area. You're a brewery.
That's a little unusual.
Don't allow dogs in your outside area. So you lost the custom of an Englishman who was ready to drink beer, who wasn't driving. You fucked up. So I gotta say,
I get annoyed by people taking their dogs every goddamn place in existence.
brewery.
But the outdoor beer patio is just, it's fine. Yeah, I'm very confused by that one myself. So that's not a smart move,
messed
guys.
up Hudson Valley, and I'm gonna tag you in this so you feel shame.
Inside the bar, inside the
shame.
brewery.
Oh yeah,
totally
absolutely.
get that. But
No.
but outside,
But no,
as long as everyone picks up after each other, it should be fine.
exactly.
Yeah, wildly confused by that.
Absolutely. So that's my just quick shout. But speaking of, let's actually dive in because we've actually got quite a lot to go on this evening. A lot of things.
It's an exciting itinerary, dude. I'm ready to get into this tonight.
Okay,
Let's do this.
Speaking of how you're lacking in your IMDb credits, one person who's not lacking in the IMDb credits is a young lady who has returned to our television sets through the medium of IMDb TV, which I've only just learned about a couple of days ago, which I think is just another offspawn of basically Amazon Prime. It's basically Amazon Prime. Judge Judy is back on our television screens, and I, for one, cannot be happier. Well,
when you say she's back now, she hasn't made any new episodes since May of this year, and even then, she's got
a new home then, I guess. She's
Judy Justice.
Oh yeah,
you're talking about Judy Justice.
I'm not.
Or is it Justice Judy? It's Judy Justice.
Oh, now
you're talking about Judy Justice, but Judge Judy is still in syndication, all 25 years of it, and so she's getting that double check now.
Banking that she's what was something stupid like 2
she's
million
the
episodes
highest
or something
paid,
crazy like that.
Highest paid TV personality in the world because of that syndication market. And she did Judge Judy for 25 years. This is Judge Judy Shineland for those not paying attention. Judge Judy was a thing for 25 years, and now she's just got a new series, but it's not anything different. She's got a lavender robe. The court clerk for some reason has a presence. The stenographer, she's kind of sexy, but she has no business being there either.
All she does is just sit there and smirks every now and again when Judge Judy.
She's got a sexy smirk. I'm into it. I'm like, yeah. Let's find out what her opinion is. Ask her some more things, Judge Judy.
And then we got the security guard guy who's not Bird. Where's Bird?
Oh, that's not the usual bailiff?
No.
Okay. Well, good for him. That's those are some big shoes to fill.
So it's a new guy.
The bailiff is always he's always the right hand man on these judge shows. So Wapner had Rusty, and Judy now has this guy.
But so in the hype of this episode, I did put in there that I was going to do an intensive review of the first episode. However, two things came a cropper into that. One was the fact that I've just binge watched 5 episodes back to back, so now I have no idea what happened in the first episode or the third episode. It all just merged into one.
The first episode was.
But wait. Oh no, actually no, I do remember. Wait, I do. But anyway, the point I was going to make is that there's no real point of doing real intense because, like you say, episode 1 of Judy Justice or Justice Judy is exactly the same as every single ever episode of Judge Judy. It's this is the same thing. And it's wonderful. I'm not knocking it, but
nothing wrong with that.
But yes, episode 1 was the what do they call it? What was they refer to? The mini brawler or the mini wrestler or something like that?
They kept calling him a mini wrestler. And for that didn't process to me at first until they finally got a side profile of him. And the whole time I was like, I thought he was sitting down. I was like, oh, he's a little person. He's a midget. He's a dwarf. He's whatever he wants to be called, folks. And he's in a little
mini
hot water.
It's Twiz. I don't know.
Mini wrestler. The chick kept saying he's a mini wrestler. He's got a temper. Like there was a whole altercation. This woman met a pro wrestler, little guy, but super charming. Charmed the pants off of her literally, and then she apparently liked him so much she went like, "We need to get your teeth fixed, sir," and they did. And then something happened.
Apparently, he only
there
had
was
one
some miscommunication. Just one. He just had one tooth.
So he couldn't eat any of her cooking. That was the big thing.
That's romantic.
I know.
Wow, and so
she rather than
really have liked him.
And she had enough of just producing mushy food and soup, I guess, where rather than doing that, she was like, I'm going to spend $13,000 fixing your teeth. Which seems rational. But there you go. But yeah, long story short, they break up and all of a sudden she's like, hang on a minute, I just spent $13,000 on this motherfucker. I want that money back. To which,
and Judy was gonna almost let him get away with it, except for the fact that there's text messages now, there's screenshots and everything. So
yeah, that's okay. A word of advice: if someone gives you, let's just say $13,000, and then they say, give me that $13,000, and you say no, and then they say, I'll take you to court, and you go, fine, take me to court then. Perhaps don't send them text messages saying you're going to give them the $13,000 back. Might be a good idea. Because if you've done that, chances are you're probably going to end up having to pay the $13,000 back.
Well, all is well, because even when the little guy lost the case, here's what happens on these shows. The studio actually pays the judgment. So regardless of the outcome,
I did not know that.
That's So that woman still got her 10 grand, but he's clear of his obligation. I know that because I know somebody that was on one of those shows.
What, you was on one?
I knew one. I knew someone on one of those shows, and that was the whole gimmick. Like, I was like, "Why are you being so cool about this, bro?" And the point was, whatever money was owed, whether even he believed it or not, he was no longer liable for it afterwards. He was just like,
"Wait, now, this is going to become a whole thing. Now, this is going to be an extended version of Waffle Box, because now I've got I love a theory and an idea." Here comes another one. Tell me to break it down.
Break it down, Mike.
So basically, what you could do is create a hustle where, like, me and you could just create this court case out of thin air and say that I owe you $20,000 or whatever. Create some ridiculous evidence to which I do owe you $20,000. You take me on to Judge Judy, Judy Justice, whatever, and then they give you 20 grand and we split it.
I think there's definitely a cap. Both episodes involved 10 grand. The only 2 episodes I saw. So I think that's as high as anything is getting paid out to. I think there has to be some police reports involved. I think like an actual wrongdoing has to be recorded. Otherwise, otherwise everyone would be doing this. And maybe everyone is doing this now.
Maybe, though, also, just as I gave that advice about not having text messages as a trail, perhaps trying to come up with this plan on a podcast that I'm going to put out into public probably is not the best idea either. But,
no, it's definitely. I mean, the gig's up now, homie. Yeah, we end up going to court.
I mean,
Judge Joe Brown, Judge Mathis, Judge Judy.
They're all in together.
Game's over.
It's a ring.
Case dismissed.
It's a racket. But one of the main things is, I believe it's her daughter. Now, at the end of each episode, she's like sits in her chambers with this young lady who I believe is her daughter, and kind of summarizes a lesson that they've learned or she's learned from the episode. And
now, why do you believe that that's her daughter and not know that that's her daughter?
Because someone told me it was, but I didn't do the research. So I believe it was, but I don't know for a fact because I don't, you have to do your own research on this, but I didn't.
It's a weird segment.
But yeah, so even if it isn't, it's this really awkward segment where, because Judge Judy,
it's 5 seconds. It's literally 5 seconds.
But like, Judge Judy's been doing this for a long time. She's charismatic as hell. She knows what she's doing, and then suddenly she's having this conversation with this plank of wood, who's like, "Oh yeah, I totally get why that." I would not do it. If someone did that to me, I wouldn't do that. And it's, oh my, what is this? This is horrible. I don't know why they put that. The only thing I can think of is maybe if she's trying to, if that is her daughter indeed, if they're trying to set up something where she's Judge Judy trying to pass the baton onto her, and she's going to be like the next. I don't know, but if that's the case, it's not going to work out.
That's definitely not happening. Just based on the two experiences I saw. Yeah.
Judge 2x4. That'd be the most like when she instead of hitting the gavel, she just headbutts the desk.
Rude.
And that's final. Boom. I'd actually watched that. Yeah. But
Judge Concussion.
Judge Concussion. So yeah, so check it out. IMDb TV. Judge Judy's back. God bless her.
It's also available on Prime. They're the same thing. That's how I saw it.
I mean, yeah. So
but if you absolutely need to watch it on your laptop, IMDb.
Well, you can do it. Yeah. If you go into the IMDb app, you have to log in with your Amazon account anyway. So it's the same thing. Whatever.
That's so dumb. So dumb.
Beautiful. Shout out, Judge Judy. We love you. Speaking of, where can we segue from that? Let's talk about from courtrooms to jail. Ooh.
That's a good segue.
So the UK is getting down. So online trolls, where normally you get as the saying, as the kids would say, Facebook jail, when you get banned temporarily from social media platforms, that could be becoming a real place in the UK, as reported by The Times in the UK. They said social media users that post certain kinds of offensive content could face a prison sentence of up to 2 years under proposed UK law. The Online Safety Bill, a piece of proposed legislation overhauling the UK's online communication laws, will include a provision that criminalizes content that causes, quote unquote, likely psychological harm, with sentences reaching up to 2 years. I mean, so this goes on and on, but I think for me, it's kind of, I don't know what your thoughts are, but it's kind of a double-edged sword here, because one, I believe it's something needs to be done. Definitely, to get serious, there is definitely harm to be done when people who are being bullied online and things like that. There's definitely examples, because obviously I'm a wrestling fan, I keep talking about this, but there was a young lady who was a professional wrestler in Japan. She got bullied and she ended up committing suicide, and that became a huge thing over in Japan. So definitely something needs to be done. My issue with this is, maybe it's a good start, but my only issue here is that, I guess until you get into the nitty-gritty of it, this could be way open to interpretation. And so it could be like you could be like, go into someone like going super racial slurs and I hope you kill yourself and blah 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 blah. It's real hurtful shit. Which obviously
or Thursdays as that's known for Mike.
But then, just another person, if I just, you're wearing glasses right now. So if I called you Four Eyes, depending on your interpretation, you could take that as real offense, and I could end up going for prison for that. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. It was an example. I don't mean that you've got two fantastic eyes, Kush. But but you know what I mean? Like, it's so open in interpretations. Like, people could be going to prison for weird stuff. You know, what do you think? What do you think?
So I don't think anyone's going to prison for being called Four Eyes, but yeah, there's going to definitely be some, if you drop an N-bomb or whatever racial epithet, whatever, something phobic, that's going to get you in some real hot water. I want to know how this applies to international communication as well. Like, if you're in the UK, you're in New Jersey, but if you're in the UK and I'm out here in San Francisco and you and I are just bombing the hell out of each other back and forth, like, maybe you go to jail, but what is there a warrant out for me now in London? Am I barred from the UK for life? How does that work? And then again, yeah, what exactly is the exact line? Obviously, no racial epithets, don't talk about someone's religion, but like, I got put in Facebook jail for 24 hours for calling some dude a hoe. It was just a funny thing to say. And obviously, like, dudes don't get upset about being called hoes, but I typed out HOE, and that was the trigger word, and that got me thrown in jail for 24 hours.
It's just a guarded instrument. You could be just saying, hey, you people use you.
The AI saw the inflection. The AI saw the inflection and saw the context. but took it too far. Took it to the letter of the law, not the spirit of the law.
This is why robots are coming after us. See? They're judging. You've seen Terminator. You've seen iRobot.
I've seen Terminator.
It's happening. It's happening.
So
but yeah,
this is definitely is this in place, or is this on like a ballot? Or
it's a proposed law for right now, so it's definitely going to be.
It's just a proposal right now. Okay,
it's going to be an ongoing story, I think. But basically, if you're in the UK, just be nice to each other, even if you're online. So, because this is where I don't know.
Yeah, it hurts nothing to be nice.
Have we discussed this before, where they're talking about potentially you having to give out ID to sign up to social media networks? Have you seen that?
I've seen people just suggest it. I've not seen any official proposals about it, but yeah, why not? I
don't see a problem because like people say, oh, people need their anonymity, whatever it's called. But no,
we had it and it got abused.
I'm not going to put out like let's just say I signed to Twitter and they asked for my driver's license. I'm pretty sure Twitter's not going to put out my driver's license online. It's just to prove that it's basically to link a human being to an account. So that way, if I start fucking shit up and being a dickhead, then they know who's being the dickhead. It doesn't mean I can still put on WaffleBollocks69 as my username.
Sure.
But it's connected to me. So I'm still anonymous to the outside world. But if I fuck up, but also at the end of the day, people need this. Blah, 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 blah. It's a social media network. No one needs a Twitter account. No one needs a Facebook account.
Yeah, you don't need to be on Facebook.
You don't want it. Just don't go on it. Stop being such a bitch. There you go. Oh, now I've just called people. I've called everyone a bitch. Now I'm definitely going to prison.
You just call everybody a bitch.
Literally everyone. And there's like 60 million people in the UK. So that's 60 million times 2. I'm going to prison for like 120 million years. So this could be the last.
You're gonna have to be reincarnated a couple times and still do time.
A couple of times. What's my life expectancy? Oh yeah, 120 million. Yeah, that's fair enough. Sorry, never mind. Anyway, be nice to each other. Speaking of being nice to each other, next story. I like this quick fire. Rather than just being nice to each other, let's be nice to animals. Because if you don't, you might get dead. So I'm gonna entitle this bit bullshit because it's funny. So a 55-year-old man has died after being gored at a bull running event in eastern Spanish town of Onda. The man was repeatedly attacked by the bull at the Feira de Onda festival, suffering a head wound and having an artery punctured on his left thigh. He died at a hospital in a nearby town of Villarreal. Now, I am going to be the first one to say, yeah. I'm sorry. I know. I feel bad for his family and loved ones, but the reason I brought this up and I mentioned it to you, why I'm going to talk about this is dumb. Like, I'm sorry. This shit, bullfighting in general, like, people shouldn't be sad about this. If you choose to antagonize a big bastard animal with horns, and then that big bastard animal with horns hits you with his horns, that's on you. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's on you.
I bet the gentleman will agree with you too. Like, hey, it happened.
It's kind of like, right? I mean, it's not exactly the same, but if there's a guy standing 20 feet away with a sword going, I'm going to stab people, and then I go up to him and slap him in the face, yes, technically that guy shouldn't stab me because that's illegal, but that's also kind of on me when he stabs me because why'd you go up to him? Just leave him alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like this whole running of the bulls, bullfighting, why are people doing it? It just sounds dumb to me. It's kind of like, it's kind of also, obviously, I'm going to just wrap this in the whole connection. Skydivers.
Mm-hmm. Skydivers, rock climbers. I was about to say all
if your parachute doesn't open I'm sorry, that sucks, but why are you jumping out of planes? You're supposed to stay in the plane until it lands. Enjoy the onboard.
And that's part of the thrill. You might die, Mike. You know, that's part of the gimmick. So I bet this dude, I would like to know if this was this guy's first bull run or if this was like his 23rd or something, because he's 55, so he was definitely up there. He's definitely a lot slower than he used to be.
Maybe this is his first one. Then maybe he thought, you know what, I've been on this earth for 5 years. I've seen a lot of these. Maybe I'm going to get involved in these guys.
I would say if this was his first one, that's just bad luck. If this was like his 23rd, then he went out with a warrior spirit, Mike Fish. But in the 111 years that this festival has been going on, this bull run has been happening in that town, only 16 people have died, and that's an average of just over 14% casualty rate, my friend. So it doesn't need to be done. It's an old tradition, and traditions don't have to last forever. And now, you know, instead of 15, there's now 16 people dead. But that's Spain. I don't know. I think crazier shit happens out here now.
But it's like, I mean, it's just even just reading the description of the actual story, right? So I'm sure most people watching this or listening to this know what running of the bulls is, but still, it's during the events, crowds of participants run in front of a group of bulls which are let loose in a section of the town.
Like doing this in front of a car might actually be safer. Doing this on the freeway might actually be safer.
Playing Frogger
without the bull.
Playing Frogger on the highway. There you go.
Yeah.
Why not do that?
Why not? Why not, Mike Fish?
Because I'm pretty sure
some freeway.
When the bull kills someone, the bull gets deaded as well. He didn't do anything wrong. He was just being a bull. He was just living his life. And suddenly you just release him in the town. He's like, "Ooh, what bars are open? Am I vaccinated?" There's
Do I need to show a card? China shop. I need to such guys from China.
That's what I'm gonna save a bull, and I'm gonna release them in a China shop. Just film it, and it's gonna go viral, and I'm gonna make so much money off of that video. And
Spain's
then
#1 China shop.
And then I'm going to take that bull and we're going to live on a farm happily ever after, and he's going to live a happy ever life. Because I care about animals.
All right.
Peace and love. Anything else you want to add on that story before we move on?
Nah. Yeah, I mean, the guy knew the risks, got killed. I bet he doesn't regret a thing.
Or did he? Maybe he was just going to the shops for some milk and just took the wrong turn.
I would. Then he would definitely get what's coming to him, because obviously he'd be like, "Oh, there's a crowd. Oh no,
what's going on over here?"
I don't know.
Okay, if that's the situation, I feel bad for him in that case. But we'll see. I didn't do my research. I've done very little research on this. Speaking of trolls, okay, so this is definitely one, because I know I kind of gave you a heads up on this story, but I know you're not super familiar with this. But Elon Musk is
what's old Elon up to these days?
So
we haven't heard out of him in a while. What's he doing?
This is back from space. I wrote a big long page of notes, but it's basically this tweet. So this article came out, is on CNN. The headline said that 2% of Elon Musk's wealth could help solve world hunger, says the director of UN Food Scarcity Organization.
2% of Elon's wealth could solve world hunger.
Indeed.
Okay.
A small group of ultra-wealthy individuals could help solve world hunger with just a fraction of their net worth, says the director of the United Nations World Food Programme. Billionaires need to, quote-unquote, step up now on a one-time basis, but it won't be one time, said David Beasley in an interview on CNN's Connect the World with Becky Anderson, blah, 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 blah. $6 billion to help 42 million people that are literally going to die if we don't reach them. It's not complicated, he added. Tesla chief executive Musk has a net worth of nearly $289 billion, according to Bloomberg, meaning that Beasley is asking for a donation of just 2% of his fortune. The net worth of US billionaires has almost doubled since pandemic, yada, 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 yada. So, following that article, a man by the name of Dr. Eli David tweeted, fact check. So he's kind of like one who's calling out Elon, but he's also calling out UN here. Fact check. 2% of Elon Musk's wealth is $6 billion. And then in 2020, the UN World Food Program raised $8.4 billion. How come that didn't solve world hunger? So it's kind of like a little bit of tongue in cheek. But then Elon Musk himself replied on Twitter, if the World Food Program can describe on this Twitter thread exactly how $6 billion will solve world hunger, I will sell Tesla stock right now and do it. But it must be open source accounting so the public sees precisely how the money is spent. Then David Beasley himself, the guy who said literally in this interview, and I quote, $6 billion to help 42 million people that are literally going to die if you don't reach them. It's not complicated. Replied, headline's not accurate. $6 billion will not solve world hunger. You just kind of said it did in this interview, literally. But it will prevent geopolitical instability, mass migration, and save 42 million people on the brink of starvation, an unprecedented crisis, and a perfect storm due to COVID conflict, climate crisis. With your help, we can bring hope, build stability, and change the future. This Let's Talk. It isn't as complicated as Falcon Heavy, but too much at stake to not at least have a conversation. It can be on the next flight. I can be on the next flight to you. Throw me out if you don't want to hear. Jesus. And then Elon replied, please publish your current and proposed spending in detail so people can see exactly where the money goes. And then David responded, instead of tweets, allow me to show you. We can meet anywhere, Earth or space, being cheeky. But I suggest in the field where you can see where WFP's people, processes, and yes, technology at work. I will bring the plan and open books. So, one, I love this story because for ages now, people have been saying, the richest people, if they just gave away some of their money, they could solve all the crises and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so this rich person has been like, all right, tell me how. Tell me how my money can solve this and I'll give it. And by the looks of it, this David Beasley guy, who obviously I'm assuming he means well because he works for the UN's World Food Program, but he's just very much, to me,
he's coming at it very aggressively. He's
aggressively.
He's definitely coming out the wrong way.
And he's also like backtracking a little bit. Like, no, that actually won't help, but can I still have it? And I'll meet you.
Yeah. And he pretty much thought it was just going to be an empty tweet, that there was going to be no reply. And then when the guy went, okay, tell me what I need to do, then he started calling us. Elon Musk called this guy's bluff, basically. And that's weird how that flipped. It should have been the other way around.
Because now in a very, like I say, a very flip of the current situation where out of this whole thing, out of the person who's trying to beat world hunger and save 42 million people who are apparently literally going to die, I was on the side of the billionaire. Like I was like, yeah, you tell him, Elon. Because it's a very bizarre situation. Because I actually kind of believe, because of how nuts the guy is, I genuinely, if you said, oh yeah, this is where I want to spend the money, and this is the good it's going to do, I wouldn't bet against Elon Musk going, yeah, and here's the money.
Here's what's up. People think that you earn your first million and then you somehow flip it into $1 billion, and that's easy. And then they also think that then once you become wealthy, whatever number that equates to you, that all of a sudden you become just cold and heartless and don't have a thought about anyone else's life but your own. Okay. Fact of the matter is, rich people like spending money, and they also like being heroes. And if there was a way that they could solve world hunger just by going into the coins or the cushions of their couch, they would just fucking do it. All right.
Oh, yeah,
It's a lot more complicated than what you think. You can't just throw money at this problem. It'll help, but it won't solve the issue. And I don't know what all the problems are, but they're there. They've been there longer than we've been alive. Like, money isn't a new thing. Money could have solved this a century ago.
Yeah, and even if you think these world billionaires are all evil bastards just there to stroke their own ego, you don't think that, could you imagine the ego stroke if Elon Musk, all he had to do is give up 2% of his money to solve the entire world hunger problem? He would
Bill
do
Gates had to give his wife 50% of his wealth. All right. He would love to just give the world 2% of his wealth and have a clear conscience forever. But he ended up having to give one person, one woman, 50% of everything. All right. Look, guys, someone's math is wrong here. Now, it ain't mine because I ain't the one producing numbers, but it's probably this guy's math. That's terrible. I mean, it's a lot more complicated than anyone can even imagine.
But yeah, could you just imagine that, like, just be able to sit there at home, maybe with a glass of fine whiskey and a cigar, just being able to say, oh, do you know how there's no world hunger anymore? Yeah, I did that. That was me. Like, in a heart.
Did that shit on a Thursday. Bitch.
Yeah.
Shut up.
But it's crazy. Like, when I started digging deeper into this, I was reading his tweet. Like, again, the whole narrative is, and again, I'm not trying to like stick up for billionaires and blah blah blah, but there is definitely like I guess the buzz phrase is like there's a media narrative and blah blah blah. But because I was reading one where, so the whole thing came about when I think it was Hertz, is it like the car rental company?
Okay.
Apparently they wanted to buy like 100,000 Teslas or whatever to add to their fleet of cars, which is going to give Tesla like billions and billions and billions of dollars. Okay. And so they're obviously Tesla's stock price shot up because, oh shit, they're going to make a bunch of money now.
Mm-hmm.
And Elon Musk went publicly on Twitter to be like, hey, FYI, it's great that the stock price is going up, but this deal that everyone's talking about actually hasn't gone through yet. It's like nothing's like chew your tits, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone
calm your tits.
And someone was like, oh, why would Elon Musk say that? So he could have been the evil, greedy bastard and just read, okay, oh shit, everyone thinks this deal's gone through, and so I'm making a shit ton of money, whatever. But he actually went out there and said, oh, if you're investing, just know, FYI, the deal you think's happened, not actually happened. And then people were like making fun of it. Like, you can't have it two ways. Either they're evil or they're, like, you know what I mean? It's just, it just frustrates me.
Yeah, man. You can't let that get to you. But yeah, that's how it is. So
again, sorry, I was just again, I'm not defending billionaires, but you can't say they're evil for one way. You can't say they're evil one thing, and then when they do the opposite, say they're stupid or evil for the other thing as well. It's like, oh, come on. This guy's going to solve.
I mean, we can unpeel this onion all night long, and in that case, it's not the same people, making fun of him. It's just, don't worry about it, man. The internet is definitely more than one voice. And it's still usually wrong.
Soon a bunch of them are going to prison.
We contribute to that too.
So jokes on them. Jokes on them.
I have reason to believe that that bill in the UK, that proposition won't go through because there's even the lawmakers in the UK have said some foul shit on Twitter and don't want to be held accountable for it. So I got a feeling that thing goes away, but that's
to go full
that's
circle,
as interesting being on the table as someone suggesting that California, the singular state of California, split into 5 states.
Oh, well, that's all bullshit.
I know.
And
yet someone brought it up.
The only reason people would want to do that is for political gain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the only people it's going to benefit are the handful of people who would get paid a little bit more money because suddenly they have a little bit more power. Fuck them. But
anyways, bad ideas are plentiful.
Yeah, but also going on to
this little green marble.
Going on to that whole back to the UK thing, that's a point of like how far back does it go? Because then, where if someone says, "Oh, hey, we just found out that 10 years ago you put up this Facebook status that was naughty. Here's the handcuffs."
Right. There seems to be no statute of limitations, and you can't have grown as a person ever.
But that's fucking can't. Without talking about that, I actually can't fucking. But someone was that. You know how people go on about cancel culture. Oh, it's cancel culture. Yeah, I've just had this thought. How when you realize the people that talk about cancel culture are always just generally horrible people.
Okay.
I
did not see that going that way, but I approve.
What? This is fucking cancel culture? What? So I can't walk down the street and grab a titty anymore? What the fuck? I can't call a black guy the N-word anymore?
Well, that's sexual assault.
No, you can't do that. That's not cancel culture. You're just being found out that you're a piece of shit. That's not cancel culture, pal. Oh, fucking cancel culture.
That's definitely not cancel culture, but maybe that should be. Maybe groping women on the street should be cancel culture.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the bulk of what they see is whenever they say, "Oh, someone took someone into their office and masturbated over them 10 years ago." Oh, that was 10 years ago. Cancel culture. Yep. Well, yeah, we just found out that they were a piece of shit. Sorry, it took us time, but we didn't have the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, talk about person. Okay,
to be fair, the guy who's masturbating on his employees in the office 10 years ago is probably still doing that today and probably hasn't learned from his mistakes. So yeah, I think that one was okay.
But it's like imagine if I'm friends with someone, good friends with someone for like 15 years, let's just say that. But then I find out that, I don't know, 5 years ago that they beat up a guy just because he was gay. Suddenly I'm going to be like, I don't feel comfortable hanging out with you anymore. Like, it's not cancel culture. It's just because, our previous relationship was held on a certain bit of information. I've now learned new information on you. Now I'm not sure I like you anymore. It's not just cancel culture. It's just new shit has been learned about you. We had an opinion on you. Now we've learned something else. Fuck you. That's what I got to say about it.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean? It's just fucking snowflakes, man. They're scared of being found out. Oh, I love that phrase. Whenever someone, because that's the whole thing. Whenever people bitch about someone or they bitch about them, you can be like, "Oh, you're bitching about bitching." So my favorite thing online, and I'm probably going to get put in prison for this in the UK for 2 years, but whenever someone complains about something and calls someone a snowflake, I just turn straight around and call them a snowflake because they're getting snowflaked by the snowflake. It's hilarious. And they blow up. They explode. You should do it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh
my God.
Search on Twitter for snowflake and then find someone calling someone a snowflake and then call them a snowflake and just watch the world burn. It's hilarious.
For some reason, when I look up the search term snowflake, I find something very different and it's non-political, but very sexual. So don't worry about that.
No, new segment. What?
No.
Random sexual thing of the week. What is a snowflake in the sexual connotation?
You're going to have to look that up yourself, sir.
No.
I will not. This is a family show.
This is your new segment. What is it?
This is my new segment. No.
Yep.
Denied.
What is it? Wait, where did you look it up?
It is a very old term that goes back to the 70s and 80s. And that is all I'm going to say.
What? No, where did you look it up?
It's common knowledge.
Am I Googling it?
You can Google it off the show, bro.
No, I'm doing it now. Snowflake. What? Snowflake? What's sexual?
You're dragging this out, dude, and I got places to be.
Snowflakes. All right. I'll bring it in next week. Anyway, final segment.
Way to throw the show off, dude. Anyways.
You mentioned it. You fucking mentioned it.
Yeah, I did. And you should just yes and it.
Nope. That's never going to happen. How long have you known me? That was never going to happen. That was never going to happen.
Well, you're not good at improv then.
Oh, no, I am. Hence.
No, you're not.
What do you mean I'm not good at improv? When have you ever seen an improv show where they say, oh, hey, so I went to the shops, and the other person goes, all right, cool, and shuts the shit down? No, they go on it. They carry on. Tell me I'm good at improv. Anyway, movies.
I won't tell you you're good at improv. Don't worry about that.
I'm fucking amazing at improv. So let's move on to our final segment of the week. As always, it's Kush's movie review. It's that part where Kush watches a movie and he talks about it. Gets catchier every week. This week's movie is, drum roll, Last Night in Soho. Take it away, Kush.
Last Night in Soho. Yeah, man. This is Last Night in Soho, brand new movie from Edgar Wright, written and directed by, as always, Edgar Wright. You may know him from Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. Those two are fantastic films. And then he goes on to his Scott Pilgrims and Baby Driver. People seem to like those. But those last two are a lot more, well, just like this movie, a lot of style over substance.
That Baby Driver, all I remember is the soundtrack and
Scott
stuff.
Pilgrim. Yeah, Baby Driver is all style, no substance, and then Scott Pilgrim is just it's all visuals, and thus is the case with this. Now people are digging this. This seems to be a crowd pleaser, but it's let me tell you, it stars Thomasin McKenzie. If you don't know who she is, you may have seen her in Jojo Rabbit. Anya Taylor-Joy, ATJ, and then badass Terrence Stamp. This man is 83 years old, Mike, and I hope I look as good as he does at 83 as I do when I turn 50, because this is a suave motherfucker.
I don't look as good as him now.
Yeah, I know, but a guy can dream. Terrence Stamp is a smooth motherfucker. Anyways, we Thomasin McKenzie. She's a fashion student. She got approved to a big school in London. She's from a little small town in the UK. And, people are warning, like, hey, be careful. London, busy place. Things get very crazy. It's not like what we do out here in the town, in the country. Oh, by the way, are you still seeing visions of your dead mother? That's a subject that comes up. This young girl has a relationship with her dead mother. She's constantly seeing her in reflections, but only for a minute. Once she cuts to the big city of London, she learns that lots of people are assholes, including her roommate. And then she's just not used to how busy things get and the intensity of everything. So she moves out of the dorms into this nice little attic loft in Soho. What does Soho mean, Mike? I thought that meant south of Houston.
Yeah, Soho in New York is south of Houston Street or whatever.
Okay.
But I'm not sure.
Soho in London?
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's called Soho in London. It's actually a good question.
This is more controversy on the Waffle Box today.
Oh.
Anyways, Thomasin McKenzie, she's sensitive to shit. As I said, she has a relationship with her dead mother. And then once she gets to this new loft, this new flat, in this females only apartment, no men are allowed, she has time traveled back to the 60s. Where all of a sudden she is living through reflections and seeing Anya Taylor-Joy just try and take the world by storm. It's one of those weird, naive stories where this girl walks into a theater, sees someone actually performing on stage, and then decides to just walk up to the bartender and say, like, "Yeah, so you should book me on that stage next. Like, I'm gonna be the best singer ever." Long story short, she ends up being thrust into a world of sexual slavery and becomes a prostitute, and is ultimately tortured and then allegedly murdered. There's a mystery afoot. Is things paranormal? Is this girl just schizophrenic? P.S. This girl is just schizophrenic.
Oh, damn.
Spoiler alert. I don't want to get too much deeper into this. I always want to give the fans a minute to step out. Last Night in Soho is a beautiful looking movie. I think it's definitely going to get some Oscar nominations in 2022. But just for like costume design, set decoration, things like that. Like, it's a very good looking movie. Much like Baby Driver and much like Scott Pilgrim. It has a fantastic soundtrack, but it's as stable as wet cardboard. It falls apart real quickly.
All sizzle, no steak.
Yeah, that's real. That's very American of you, Mike. Very good.
I stole it from Jim Ross.
Gonna get into spoilers here, folks. So if you don't want to hear it, this is the time to duck out. But like I said, you look. Everyone loves Scott Pilgrim. Maybe it's not for me. So if you like Scott Pilgrim, you'll probably like this. That's just what I'm gonna say. People are loving this. It's definitely a crowd pleaser. I was not one of them, but again, it's a beautiful looking movie. If you want to absolutely see this on the biggest screen you can see it, or on the clearest picture you can see it. Otherwise, it did nothing for me. In fact, my whole experience of getting to see this movie was a pain in the ass. Yeah. We're gonna do some spoilers here. So yeah, this girl is schizophrenic, dude. There's a love interest. Dude is super sweet. He's trying to win this chick's heart, but like, he doesn't let like rule of 3 happen. He lets rule of 7 happen. Like, at first she just kind of blows him off, and then they have some cute moments or whatever, but at some point, like, he does get back to her place where he's not allowed whatsoever after a certain hour. And like, they're in bed, they're fooling around, and all of a sudden she has an episode where like he's on top of her, but she's freaking out because she's seeing this murder happen on the ceiling.
Always kills a mood
of her apartment, and that alerts the landlady. And now this perfectly innocent gentleman, now his life is literally being threatened, and he's just one of those things where he puts his pants on and he has to bolt out of the house, or else he'll get stabbed in the face. But like, even after that, like, he's like, "Hey, Ellie, are you okay? I was really worried about you the other night. Like, is there anything I can do for you?" It's like, yo, this chick literally put your life in danger, man. Like, tap out. There's plenty of skinny, anemic girls in London. All right, brother. She's not the only one. She's a nice girl, but this ain't it, dude.
I know
we get rape.
I know you're gonna be killed, but do you want to grab breakfast?
We get some rape ghosts, Mike, and then we get some rape zombies, but they're
Jesus.
also not there whatsoever. At some point, there's 2 twists in this movie. The first one I did see coming, and I was like, "That's fucking stupid." The second one I did not see coming, and I still went, "Well, that's also fucking stupid." That's the climax ends where Thomasin McKenzie is running from her life. Rape ghosts are busting through floorboards, Mike Fish. Okay, they are tripping her and all this shit. Meanwhile, there's a fire ablaze because some cigarette butts landed in a box of records. First of all, records are not this flammable, dude. I don't care if they're from the 1960s or 2001. Records are not that flammable where a Marlboro or a Pall Mall is just going to ignite it like it's doused in gasoline. All right, but that's how this last calamity happens.
Okay.
Meanwhile, again, rape ghosts busting through
Rape
the floorboard.
ghosts. What are these rape ghosts?
Rape ghosts. There's a lot of allegory about rape, and again, sexual slavery. And there's supposed to be a message here about men being terrible, but in the end, women are also pretty shitty too, Mike Fish.
No comment.
So,
I'm staying away from that one.
Women of Sunflowers.
Yeah, it's by the end of its 1 hour and 56-minute running time, I was very frustrated with my entire evening, and I was ready to go back to my hotel, and thus I did. Yeah. Last Night in Soho, very pretty movie. Seems to be a crowd pleaser. Is not for Kush Hayes. I give it. I'm giving it a very generous 3 out of 5. But again, it's a very good-looking movie. You can always count on Edgar Wright for that.
Could have been worse. It could have followed current trends and been like 3 hours long.
Yeah, I mean, it might as well have been. It might as well have been.
Felt like
again, there's this whole relationship with the mom. Mom is there for the first 2 minutes of the film. She's there for the last 45 seconds of the film. At no point does she ever show up again. But it's been a thing, and it gets referenced once or twice. And it's just like, oh, I'd like to explore this relationship with dead mom for a minute. But yeah, that doesn't happen. Weird.
Oh. But yeah, on the plus side, though, when you mentioned she's in Jojo Rabbit, that's a good movie.
Jojo, yeah. Thomasin McKenzie is good. She was great in Jojo Rabbit. Anya Taylor-Joy, she's fantastic for how long she's in it. You would like to see more of her.
That is the one with Waiki Taiki as Hitler, right?
Yes, Jojo Rabbit. Yes,
Taiki Waititi.
Taika Waititi.
Taiki Waititi.
Mm-hmm.
What a fantastic guy that guy
in there. He's also a crowd pleaser. I think he's a little overrated, but again, everybody loves him.
He was fantastic in What We Do in the Shadows.
Everyone loves that shit. Yeah. Do you just to ask? Do you watch the FX series?
I do. Yes.
Okay.
And I'm kind of
okay. So you're excited for the new season coming up?
Wait, no.
Or did that already happen?
The last episode happened, and it doesn't look like it's coming back, which is kind of sad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's surprising because that's, again, forget what Kush Hayes thinks. That's a very popular series. People love that shit.
What I do like is the fact that it's not kind of like a spin-off or something. It's based in the same universe as the movie, which I quite like, because every now and again you'll see the movie.
Even if it isn't, it's still in the same style. Like it's...
but I am just one of those people that I'm not a big fan of. Oh, well, this is a popular movie, so we're just gonna create a TV show about it. And it's like, whereas I quite like the fact that this is what you saw in a movie happened before what you know what I mean? Like, at least continues on into the same universe, which I always quite appreciate that kind of thing. Rather than just kind of rehashing an old idea, you're just continuing it, which basically the same thing, but at least you put a little bit of effort into it, I think. Cheers. What have you been sipping on this evening in your waffle box mug?
Well, because we don't have a sponsor, I'm just going to say I'm drinking some golden spiced rum from a very popular Puerto Rican distributor. It's aged 10 years. It's definitely courtesy of Little Sister Hayes. So shout out to her.
Shout out
for getting it to me. But yeah, that's what I've been drinking on this evening.
Does it taste good in a mug?
Yeah, it tastes great in a mug, especially this mug here, which you can get at waffleboxpod.com
or wafflemerch.com.
Both of,
or enjoywafflebox.com. We've got so many URLs. Speaking of which, on wafflemerch.com, brand new couple of t-shirt designs by our good friend at littlemshop.com. Buddy of mine, Alex, and his good fair lady, Emma, designed a fantastic couple of designs which are on wafflemerch.com right now. Already sold a couple, so it's already popular. So if you do want to check it out, go to wafflemerch.com, check out our new t-shirt design. I will be wearing it soon, but I selected the incorrect shipping time, and it's probably going to be about 5 months before it gets here. That's kind of an over-exaggeration, but they're a little bit slow if you give them the slowest option. Just give you a heads up on that one.
Jesus, Mike.
Hey, I like to be honest. I like to be honest. You know what I mean? Coming up this week on the Bosnet family. What Brett? I know you've been busy recording. What are you coming up in the next 7 days?
Well, this Friday we got Microdose 91 with director, master Len Kabazinski, co-host of the Kick-Ass Movie Podcast. We are behind the scenes on set of Pact of Vengeance. It's about 21 minutes long. It's short and sweet, but it's to the point. It's a good time. My mic died, so you're going to hear an echo. Just a disclaimer there. Otherwise, let's see. We just had the Kick-Ass Movie Podcast episode number 5, and that was Kung Fu Killer with Donnie Yen. That's a good time if you're still into your Halloween. Otherwise, teasing next week's Waffle Box, we're going to be talking about Marvel's The Eternals.
I've heard mixed.
It is apparently controversial.
Yeah, I've heard mixed
critically
things.
banned. I bet it's not any different than any other Marvel movie. Yeah. Well,
all right, Dennis.
TBD.
All right, Dennis Villeneuve.
We're gonna find out next week. Waffle Box, Marvel's The Eternals, right here.
Make sure you check it out. But yeah, so if you do want to follow all of those types of shows, make sure you go to bosnet.family to find all of the podcasts, and you got all the archives, so you can find all the microdoses, all the Kick-Ass movie theater.
Kick-Ass Movie Podcast.
The Kick-Ass Movie Podcast, sorry. Check out all of those, and plus so many more. You got also Robin Seto's beer reviews, which you can always read up on. If you're looking
Polite beer expressions.
So much content. Bosnet.family. But if you do want to follow us, here's Kush_Hayes on Twitter. I'm at Mr. Mike Fish on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you follow us. Enjoy it. Wafflebox.com. Go to all social notes. If you are listening to us, make sure you hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. If you are watching us on YouTube, hit the like button, thumbs up, and all that bullshit that YouTubers talk about. But it's been a pleasure for you to join us this week. And as always, take care of yourselves and each other.